baby pause, okay? So there's a little baby pause right here, right? Pause and then it's down. So you can really bend it, right? So emphasize this, a really good jump. Hard, okay? Lost it. Good. 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 Pull. See your hands? Okay, today we're going to be doing some shooting. All your shooting is going to be coming from a pull-in or a crossover pull-in. It's one of the same of a shot, but it's something that we have to get very good at because there's times on the ice where it's absolutely critical that you use it. It's a shot for changing angles, it's a shot for coming out of corners, and what it does, it keeps you in balance as opposed to out of balance when you're in these situations. So I'll explain that. That's why it's going to be important to go back and spend some time on and do the drills that we did in our stick handling session, which had the load and explodes laterally and the one arm pulls and your pull-ins. Because it's critical here that you get used to having your top hand do the work, your bottom hand being a guide, and your load and explodes happening with your feet. Now, why this is going to be important as well is that, I'll give you an example of something that happens a lot in a game. Let's say you're coming around in a crossover and your hands are out here. Well, a lot of guys try to shoot their puck from there, but if you can look at my body right now, my head's tilted, I'm way off balance. It's pretty much impossible to get any quality shot from there because I have zero power. So we have to remember that every time we're shooting or passing, anything we're doing really has to come from the center of our body so we have power and balance, and that's where the load and explode is very important. So what we always have to do, if our puck is out here, we're going to have to pull that puck into the center of our body for us to release the shot. All right, so that's the introduction of what we're going to be doing today. Now I'm going to introduce to you the pull-in shot. Okay, so now you don't just design a pull-in shot. Typically what you need to do is you got to be in a position where it's executable. I don't know if executable is an actual word, but I'm using it today. So what I mean by that is, I'm going to give you an example of when it makes sense to use a pull-in shot. So let's say I'm skating up the ice, I'm receiving a pass, but I get that pass up here. So obviously I can't get a good shot off balance like that. So from that position, what I can do is I can take the puck, pulling it in, firing a puck like that. So it goes into our shooting toolbox, is that you can't just work on one shot, because if you only work on one shot, then you're so limited in a game. So that's why you have to work on different ranges and different types of situations when you're shooting. So that would be one example of a pull-in shot. Or if maybe I'm getting around a player and I'm out here, now I can reach and pull. So in the pull-in shot, it's important to understand. I'm going to show you from the rear view, is that you won't be able to see the puck necessarily because I've got it in a power position. If I have the puck out here, I'm not going to be able to pull it in, I'm off balance. So from the front, when I set up this shot, I'm going to have a lean forward. So that's basically directly in front of my body. So me being a left-hand shot, all my weight's going to be on my right hand, not my right hand, my right leg. So from here, just like in our stick handling videos, your top hand's going to do the work, right? You're going to pull that down. When you release a shot, your hand should be right about where your knee is for depth. As you're pulling that puck in, this weighted leg is going to create the load and explode at the same time as the pull-in happens. So as it's pulling in, it's forward, jumping through. All right, so the motion looks like this. Now, how to create a good hard shot out of this is you want to eliminate the tap on the puck. What you want to do is you want to create downward force in your stick. You have a lot of push with your legs, so you're creating a downward force on the stick, you're flexing that stick, and really the stick is doing a lot of the work. So you want to keep that on the toe, and it acts like a slingshot now. All right, and then of course a really good follow through. So I'll give you an example. All right, so it's a lean. So as you're practicing this, really load up on this leg. This is the check that you want to do. Load up on lefty on your right leg, righty on your left leg. Leaning forward. So all your weight's on this leg. When you're pulling it through, jump forward, keep in contact with the puck. as you get this from a rear view, as you're watching this shot, you should be seeing the puck, or you shouldn't see the puck because it should be hiding in my feet. Because if I'm doing this shot properly, or if you're doing this shot properly, everything comes through the middle. It doesn't come to the side at all, because then you lose a lot of your power. So here we go. So we're loaded up. That's not very good. Loaded up. Jumping forward. You want to get as much jump as you can, because that's when it's going to create your power and your downward force. On this side, I want you just to notice that as much as I can, I mean, every now and then you're gonna not get it perfect, but you want to keep contact with the stick and the puck at all times. Because what you want to do is you want to use your stick as a tool. You want to use the flex as a tool. So if I'm coming in and getting that downward force on my stick, I want to use that as the slingshot. I don't want to come in, use all that downward force and eliminate it by having a tap and taking all the flex from my stick. So I want to make sure that that puck is in contact with my stick at all times. So here it is. So the one way to know if you've done this right is by the sound. So I'm going to do one incorrectly, you're going to hear the tap of the puck. Right? If you hear that noise, then you know that you've lost all that slingshot power. So you want to make sure that you hear this noise, a sweep or a scrape rather than a tap. Last important thing is always when you're adjusting your shot, I know in all my shots whether I'm going to have, if it's going to go ripping on the net or if it's just going to be an average shot, or it's always going to be a good shot, but there's really good, really hard, or there's going to be average. And I know that the little adjustment that I have to make is when I shoot, my sweet spot, like let's say I'm taking just a normal wrist shot. If I don't get right at my knee, I'm not going to get the flex that I need. I don't engage my legs the way I want. So for me, it's just that, sometimes just a 1/4 inch down. So on this shot, I know that when I get to, see that movement? Right to my knee, I know that I get a good bend on my stick. So it's really critical for you to find your sweet spot and make sure that sweet spot's a habit when you're shooting. So you watch the downward movement on my hand. And I know as soon as I get there, my body kind of locks in and I know it's going to be a beauty shot. And I feel that in my stick, and I know that it's right. And I have a term that I use to everybody. When it feels, if there's anything in any skill development, including your shooting, if there's anything that feels off, feels like it doesn't feel right, then you know for sure there's something in the mechanics that are wrong, 100%. Because if it feels right, it is right. And there's a difference, and the only way that you're going to know is when you know. Is when you do it over and over. If it feels right, it is right. If there's anything that is a little bit off or it feels iffy, you know that there needs to be a correction to make. So always just go back through the steps, you know, top hand, bottom hand, whatever shot it is, go through the steps and do a little checklist, and then you always work yourself backwards and you'll find where your deficiency is.